Did you ever compare yourself to other people?
Yeah, for
like,
sure.
And like, who is that? And what, I mean, I know it's a weird question to ask specifically, but like, who does Trent compare himself to, or that you did? And then how did you find your own way along that? Because a lot of people just do what everyone else is doing.
Yeah, I think when I started, I don't think I did, because I wasn't a personal development guy. You know, I wasn't a, you know, I didn't grow up, I was a hip hop kid, you know, like it would be comparing to like Lil Wayne or somebody like that, or Jay-Z, you know? So I grew up in like that. I always say hip hop raised me. It wasn't really the speaking, but as I started to do this, of course you look out there and you see, you know, guys in the industry, you see guys in the field that are doing certain things, and you know, you kind of like, oh, maybe I should do it like this, or am I doing enough? And when I get to those moments, I immediately get off my social media and I say, you know what? It's time for you to refocus on yourself for a bit. Maybe something in you is not secure right now because you're sitting here comparing your life or comparing what you're doing. So I step away and I try to analyze that, like, why am I feeling like that? You know, or I might be like, man, they're really killing it. Like, and you might think like, I deserve that. And it's like, you don't necessarily deserve what they have. You don't know what they're doing. And every time I feel like that at times, it's because I'm being inconsistent. I feel like I'm not being disciplined and working hard at what I should be working hard at.
That's so good. That's so good. I have to make sure I don't compare myself to you, because then I'm like, you know, I'm gonna come on stage. I'm gonna do some spoken word. Could you imagine me trying to do Trent Shelton? I think it's really important that influencers hear that, because a lot of the, you know, the up and coming influencers are often try to really mimic.
I see it. Yeah, I see it a lot. I see
right?
it a lot. I see it a lot.
That mimicry, they don't realize that they're like, well, it's working in the short term, but it's cheating you in the long term.
Big time.
And
Big time. Your uniqueness is your greatest gift.
Yes.
And it's like, even if it takes longer to like break through, like you build your own core audience. Like you don't want to hear, like nobody wants to hear another Brendan. I want to hear Brendan. Like, why would I want to hear another Brendan? I want to go to your art. I don't want to hear another Trent. And I get influence, but sometimes we're so influenced, we become that person.
Yes.
You know, so influence, like, it's hard. Like, you got to take little pieces of, okay, they do this good. Or it's like, oh, Brendan does this great. Okay, how can I apply that to what I do without becoming Brendan?
Yeah.
So you got to ask yourself those questions, especially on social media, you know, because you see it a lot now. You see a lot of, you know, people doing the same things, and, you know, just go what works for you.
Yeah. You know,
set the trend.
I literally make sure I don't watch other people's videos before I shoot a video. I don't watch other people's lives before I go live. I never listen to other like personal development trainers before I go to my events, because you don't realize how unconsciously you like parrot other people.
That happened to me. Like, I had to start doing that at events, like speaking events, because like you'll be back there like kind of like comparing, or like, oh, I should say this. Like, I had to really stop. Like, not that I don't support him. I just like, man, I cannot be in here and hear him, because I want to just be authentic me when I come to stage and not changing something because I heard this. You know,
it's true. I remember you were at High Performance Academy, my event, and you were backstage and you had the music pumping, and I was like, hey, Trent, and you couldn't hear anything because you were in your zone. And I think blocking out other voices is the thing that ensures yours is authentic.
Yeah.
You know, I know a lot of people who see your videos like get so much inspiration about it. So with influencers, I always talk about like the method, you know, the art of what makes something work from their perspective. Like, what is the art that goes into one of your big, huge viral videos of like, why does that actually work? Like, break down how you think about creating one of these videos, because a lot of people make videos, but they don't do that. So what's your process?
So bear with me right quick. So we're going to try to go in deep right here. So it starts with me, the message, right? And I'm very particular about every word that I say, like very particular. Like the Motivation Manifesto, like you told me about
every
that,
word.
Right? Every word. So I'm like that on video. Like I want every word almost to be quotables. And how I speak is kind of in a rhythm, like, you know, kind of a spoken word rhythm. And I understand that, like that's what a lot of people know me for. So I think about every word. Then I think about the person, right? It's like, like what does this person need? Like, so let's backtrack. I think about the person first. Then I think about every word. It's like, how can I really affect this person's life? Then I think about, you know, if you watch the videos that have been going super viral, like one's like at 100 million in a month, and it's because I think people see themselves in that seat. So it's kind of like this, right? One of the messages that I get is like, I feel like you're talking to me. I feel like I'm there. And even though the video is staged in the sense of like, it's not a live video, but that's really something that the person in the video is going through. Like literally a conversation we have off camera.
Yeah.
And so the connection is real. And I don't know how to explain that, but I think people feel that. Some type of energy that people feel through that. And the other big thing is community. Like my community of rehabbers is crazy. They understand like sharing the message. Like they are on it like that. So people's like, oh, the algorithm. And it's like the one way to beat the algorithm is have your community share it. And my community knows that when I drop a video, they share it. They go crazy for it.
Do you tease it that it's coming out, or you've been doing it so long, they just
I've been
know,
doing it so long.
Hit it, guys.
One of the best things I ever did on my friend's video, probably at that time, my most viral video was, all thing I said was, and it seems so simple now, so a lot of people do, I was like, hey, tag your 3 closest friends to this video, right? And you see it a lot now, but at that time, you really didn't see that.
Yeah.
And literally, that created a lot of momentum with that. And I stay in the comments for an hour. When the video goes out, I spend an hour or 2 in the comments, me personally, talking to people. So all those things go into it, man. And
It's
then
creating a dialogue right off the bat.
big time.
Nice.
Engagement. Engagement is king.
I like that. People wonder how that becomes a career.
Right.
Right? So we always talk about like the business model. Like what is the business model that Trent Shelton has like invented or created that you're able to do this? Because
Right.
a lot of folks think, well, I can only do a sponsored post, or maybe I got to write a book, or I guess someone will sponsor me someday. Like how did you think about it in terms of starting a business, and how did it actually evolve?
For sure. So when I first started, I definitely wasn't business minded. You know, I just wanted, I've just been honest with everybody. Like I wasn't business minded, and like a lot of influencers are, you know. But I was very purpose minded, and I just knew that if I created enough awareness, I knew if I made the brand of RehabTime big enough, then people would come. You know, I used to ask people like, hey, can I speak here? Can I do this? And they wouldn't let me in the building. So I was like, okay, cool. Well, then I'll build my own building. And I knew if the building got big enough, then it would get the attention of other people. So that was kind of my method at first, not to go out and beg for this or ask for this, just to really hone in on RehabTime and build it. And then from there, it started with merchandise. I mean, merchandise is something that's simple, and I knew the fact that if people could have a message, like with Rehab merch, my whole thing is I want you to be inspired wearing it, but even more, I want people to be inspired who see it.
Yeah.
So every
Where'd
message.
you get that?
Exactly. Every message on the shirt is something that's inspirational. So the merch, of course, funded a lot of RehabTime at first. Like that was the thing. And then as I grew, of course, you have, you know, the ads and Facebook, and, you know, you get paid from the videos and everything like that. But learning from people like you, subscription based. Yeah. I mean, you know, once you create a community, that's the main thing. You create a community and they're loyal to you, and they know that what you stand for, and they know that your heart is right. Literally, you can put anything you want out there and make sure it's a value, and they'll eat it up.
That's very true.
So books, merch, speaking engagements.
Speaking engagements. When did that take off for you, and you were like, oh, this by itself is like, you know, because you can sell some merch, but then you do a speaking engagement, you're like, wow. It's like,
well, I learned because we did our own tour. You know, a lot of people don't know that. I mean, if you've been following RehabTime, literally, this is what happened. So when I started, I was trying to get booked for speaking engagements, but it wasn't happening. So I said, okay, well, I can either use that as an excuse and sit on my butt, or I can say, you know what, maybe I can just go to city. So my very first ones were, I call them live conversations. It'd be like 20 people, and I would charge like $50, right? And literally it was, you know, it was paying for my flight, paying for my hotel, but what it was doing was creating awareness, and people would start to see that. Then over time, then it picked up to 300 people. Then our events would be 600 in the city, then 1,000 in the city. And that's how I grew. And I realized like, wow, like on stage, you can really make a good living doing this, and also be fair to people. And then you have your merchandise there and create the experience for people. So that happened. And I think in me showing that to social media, people were like, oh, he's a speaker. Because that's one thing a lot of people make a mistake on, is that they have a lot of things behind the video. Right? They have so for me, you might see my spoken word, you might see me doing my conversation with somebody. But if I never show myself on stage, most people don't think I'm a speaker like that.
I did that for years.
You know?
I just didn't think to do it. I'm like, well, I'm out on stages, and people are like, oh, Brendan, I see videos of you speaking to, like, you know, like we did today, 4,000, 5,000, 10,000 people, and they're like, you're a speaker. I said, I just assumed everybody knew that.
And so just doing that, putting it out there, really opened up the gates for me. And then, of course, you know, you get one big speaking engagement, and people see that, and it just grows from there.
Yeah.